Every single piece of wood I've used in my world has been manually gathered by me like a chud. My current solution is to pillar up, grow a tree, and get chopping. But after 2 years of doing this, I've had enough. So today, I'm going to be building a fully functional lumber mill surrounded by a beautiful custom oak forest. And I think I know just where I want to build it, which is what brings us here right outside of Boat Town to the east of Spawn. And can I be honest? I really want to rename Boat Town to something else. If you guys have any name suggestions, please feel free to leave them in the comments below. But also we're here because I really love this build style and I want to expand it even more, and I want more reasons to come out here and look at all the pretty stuff here. But yeah, this working man's kind of building style, very construction and like worker dock, dry dock kind of style. I want to expand on that more into the land over here. We're going to take out this entire forest and build our beautiful lumber mill somewhere inside here. So yeah, there's plenty of trees for me to chop down and lots of little potholes to fill in as well. But we got to get chopping. Let's get chopping. Let's just get to work. Fun fact, I did all of this tree clearing and terraforming on a live stream, and I stream quite often, so if you guys are interested in knowing when I go live, make sure to join my Discord, discord.gg/barce. I also plan on doing some more member-only streams on the channel as well, so if you guys are interested in those, make sure to join as a channel member. Okay, enough self-promo, I'm sorry. Back to it. All right, step one is complete. We have finished clearing out the hill, doing a little bit of the terraforming. See, we added in some of the dirt and some of those crazy looking textures over there. But I also did a bunch of general kind of smoothing out of some of the terrain. Ignore some of these holes. There's supposed to be other blocks there. Yeah, I did some moss smoothing on some random parts of the hillsides here. I just wanted to feel a little bit more like a rolling hill going up this side here. But also, you know, I get tired of seeing all the brown everywhere. There's so much brown in Minecraft, especially with terraforming. So I also threw in the paths. These stone paths are more of like maybe like roads for like trucks and stuff that'll be coming into the future lumber mill, which will sit on top of this hill here. Now real quick, I do want to go over the palette that I use for this dirt because I think it is kind of sexy. So I used a lot of podzol as some of my darkest, and the podzol has a little bit of green in there, so the jungle wood is a nice extra texture to blend into there. And then I use a little bit of mangrove wood just because I think it's a nice color. Works really well as a dark brown. Then we kind of hop into some oak wood, which oak wood blends amazingly into the coarse wood because of these like darker lines in the logs here, kind of mimic the darker little spots in coarse. And then we kind of just jump around from dirt to rooted dirt. I kind of try to keep the regular dirt on the inside. And then as we get closer to the edge, a lot more coarse dirt and a little bit of moss as well to kind of help make sure the grass doesn't spread any deeper into here, but you can see there's some spots where it's leaked in. This guy's always ruining my fun. Get out of here, man. So as you can see in the terraforming, I left a little bit of a clearing here because I want to make a bridge kind of going across here, and this is going to be like the logging loading section on this side of the build. Can't speak, bro. It's too early in the morning. So yeah, this is like where the main kind of working area is, which is why all the grass is dead here and it's really muddy and dirty and everything. So yeah, the next step is going to be building an entire forest. Yeah, we're gonna do a forest again. Something about making a giant forest just really helps kind of set an area into the vibe, the terrain. It just adds a lot more world building, and obviously the Minecraft trees are not all that interesting, so I went through and made a bunch of custom trees, and we'll be building all of those. But before I do that, we got to gather a whole crap ton of resources because I need to craft over a shulker box of spruce spruce fence gates. Yes, there it is. And I've also already gathered up a bunch of azalea leaves, but we're also going to need some birch and acacia, and also just generally a whole lot of wood we're going to need for all of the building for the rest of the episode, which is kind of ironic because we're making a wood farm, so I don't have to get a bunch of wood, but I have to go chop a bunch of wood to build the wood farm. Minecraft be like. But when I was first designing this entire area, I was really debating on doing a pine forest because usually when you see a lumber mill, you kind of think pine trees because they're really good for logging and all that stuff. But I don't know. I've built so many different pine forests already in the nether and also in the overworld. So I just think it would be a little bit nicer to switch it up and also expand out my tree database because I kind of save all of my trees for future use. And as of right now, I haven't actually reused any of my trees, but you got to build up that database so you can eventually reuse them. So we're making oak trees. All right, but enough dilly-dallying. I got to get a lot more resources, and I'm not really looking forward to it, but I am at the same time, because this forest looks really awesome, and it really helps immerse this entire build into the lumber mill. So let's get started on some resource gathering, and then maybe some trees. So our first resource requires us to make a brand new farm, a nice little shortgrass farm. I decided to build it as a basement underneath the log cabin that we built in the last episode,
which you should definitely go check out in the upper right of your screen.
After gathering 3 shulker boxes worth of shortgrass, I actually ran out of rockets, specifically paper. My current sugarcane and bamboo farm was made all the way back in episode 2, so I think it's finally time to give this farm a much needed upgrade. Now with my rockets in order, I headed over to the nearby mangrove swamp for some mud for mud bricks, which yes, will be used in the trees. Then I flew over to another nearby birch forest to gather some leaves, which is quite the antithesis to the old video, isn't it, huh? But now that I got all of my resources in place for the trees and foliage, it's time to start placing some blocks. Yep, always doing maintenance over here. Oh my god. All these freaking lightning rods want to oxidize on me. Oh, and yeah, we made a whole forest back here. Yeah, it's no big deal. It's just a bunch of few thousand freaking million blocks, bro. But look at this forest, man. I am very happy with it. It actually feels like a real forest, kind of just like walking around looking at these trees. We got so many different varieties as well because, you know, when you normally look at a forest in real life, there's a lot of different colors of shades of leaves and everything. So we're using azalea leaves, some acacia, and some birch right back there. You can see that guy a little bit. It's getting a little dark though. Hi, cow. Good morning. And we also placed down a bunch of the foliage here. And I think the foliage really helps make this entire area just look so much more put together and just realistic. Obviously, you know, foliage does so much heavy lifting. Oh my goodness. I really especially like putting grass on top of dirt. So like in some of these dirtier areas here, I tried doing a lot of grass, especially like up here where it's not as like heavily trafficked, but it has definitely affected the soil around this area, you know, with all the lumber going on. One of my favorite details as well is like all of the chopped logs on the front here, because I didn't want to like entirely cover up the lumber mill from like this beautiful angle here and like the angles down here on the road. Okay, you have to use a little bit of your imagination right now, but just imagine how this is going to layer up with the forest here kind of peeking out over the top here with its signs and everything. We got this big tree in the middle just to kind of forcefully block a little bit of it. So you have to walk up either this side or you have to go down the path a little bit more to see a full beautiful angle of it. But yeah, all these chopped trees in the front just really clear up the area. Also kind of sells the idea too of it being a lumber mill, like a functioning like lumber mill. They cut down all these trees to process in the machine there. And then eventually, you know, we'll work on more like city expansions or even like just this area here. Oh man, it's so freaking sick. I am very happy with it. But these are all based off of oak trees, if you're curious. And I can, I guess I could throw up on the screen a few of the references I used to build these trees. And I did build one particular type of tree, this really tall one back here. Built that guy on stream, but a lot of these other smaller variants I built over time, just kind of between clips and everything as I was working on developing this forest. But I am very pleased with my style of trees. I've really improved them over the past few episodes, haven't I? But look at this little area right here. Oh my goodness, it's a little shack in the forest. Nothing too crazy. A few crates, a little potted plant here for a little color pop. And then we just made this little shack here that's not really functional, but I wanted to experiment with some of the shelf blocks, kind of get some weird wonky looking shapes. You know, like a nice little rundown little piece of wood here in the woods. Oh, it's so nice. And something else I noticed too when I was looking at references is that a lot of the oak trees are actually a little bit more gray scaled than they are brown like they are in Minecraft. So we have some variety as well with the acacia here using some tough and stuff. Oh, tough and stuff for some of the branches and everything. And then we still have to keep it with spruce wood for like the fences and the trapdoors in this mix because there really isn't any other better color. I guess I could have done pale, but that would have been a lot more wood to go gather. Nah. And something else I also considered while making my trees is trying to keep a lot of open holes. Is there any hole? Yeah, like there's a hole right here. So like during the day, we don't get a bunch of bad guys spawning all over the place. So the woods is pretty protected. And there's maybe a few spots where they can spawn. Like down here, that's really dark. I think I've seen one creeper spawn down there. But here's this one really big tree. I wanted this one to just be like kind of a little bit of a height variety in the entirety of the forest because not all forests are, you know, just the same 4 trees rotated a handful of times like it is in this situation. So I think this one big tree kind of adds a little bit of extra height variety to it. But just like, look at this whole thing, man. It is so pretty. I'm very happy with it. These paths and like just the logs everywhere. Oh, it looks so freaking good. All right, but enough self-glaze. It's time to actually work on the farm and the platform and the building and all this. You know, the main juice of this episode. We made the forest just because it's a lumber mill and it needs some trees to chop down in the future. So we're gonna work on the platforms here first, which should be pretty easy. I'm not too worried about that, but I want to get the platforms in place. And then I think I'm gonna actually make the wood farm because I'm running low on all my wood types. I went through a lot of oak and a lot of spruce making this entire forest. So I need to get some of that back so we can actually make the buildings themselves. They're going to go right where we're standing right now. So we need to make the farm a little early. We can look at how ugly the redstone is and then we can cover it up. Yeah, some of you guys can consider me a redstone genius for getting this all working. All right, let's turn it off. It's a little loud though. So this is a modified design of ENX04's tree farm. Pretty classic from like 3 or 4 years ago. And it doesn't support every tree. It's kind of my bad. The only tree it supports, or sorry, that it doesn't support that I really want it to support is mangrove. Because mangrove, as y'all know, is mad annoying to get. So we'll probably have to make some sort of expansion for a mangrove farm eventually. Maybe we'll just dig out towards this way or something inside the stone. But it works for every other tree except for the double wide trees, which, I mean, I'll be honest, I don't really mind gathering those guys. Those are kind of fun, you know? You still got to keep a little bit of grind in the game. But when it comes to like acacia and I guess some spruce logs, you know, I can get like the smaller trees and stuff and jungle and all that. Those are a bit more annoying to gather. So this will be really great for that. Oh yeah, but one of the main things I modified from this farm is that these are like our control panel right here and they're all wired up to go over to the controller thing over here. And we got, you know, some redstone wires. So nothing too crazy. Oh, I also moved over the scaffolding, which is how all the redstone works. If you're interested in that farm, you know, you can check it out in the description and all that fun stuff. But yeah, I just changed the angle of the scaffolding here and how it comes in, and it still works with all the redstone pretty much the exact same. I think I had to change some redstone over here, but that's about it. And I made it copper themed because I wanted to at least, you know, blend in a little bit with the build that we're going to be throwing on top of this guy here. On skirt of this beacon. All right, now that all the redstone is done and the platform is in place, let's talk about the inspiration. All right, so recently I've been kind of obsessed with this new architecture term called vernacular. And ironically, vernacular is architecture built without formal architects. So for the lumber mill, we're leaning more toward a sort of New England fishing town, old American harbor, or even salt box fishing village. These houses were built by dock workers and fishermen and were typically built out of locally sourced materials like wood and corrugated metal, basically whatever they get their hands on, resulting in this really rustic, practical vibe that I think looks really cool. Now the goal is to capture this aesthetic and implement it into the lumber mill. Okay, I don't know if anyone can relate to this, but why do I have like 6 brown candles left over? And the whole build's done. Like, there's nothing left. I've checked it and everything, and I don't know why I have 6 brown candles left over and like 3 redstone lamps. Like, where did all this stuff come from? I'm sure some of you Lightmatica users can relate to that. But yeah, our lumber mill is fully complete and is looking mighty sexy. Can I say that? Can I say that on YouTube? Mwah. Chef's kiss. Oh my goodness. I'm very, very pleased with how I did all the texturing on here. And if you guys are curious as well on how I went through the process of doing a lot of this stuff, you can check out the live stream. I might link it in the description. Maybe it's a little card in the upper right now. But you guys are going to check that out if you're interested in how I went through a lot of the process of making this beautiful lumber mill building here. But I also did an interior. You know it and you love it. Look at this interior. I am so happy with it. I really wanted to emphasize like the verticality. You know, like filling up the roof, the empty space here in the kind of just the bubble of the building being hollow. So I did a lot of these like vertical chains or horizontal, I guess, horizontal chains with copper bars. I love the exposed copper. There we go. Yeah, so this room right here is going to be our stripping room. Oh yeah. But we're going to be stripping a lot of our logs. I think it's just a nice big open area, and I think it's actually an 8x8. Maybe close to one at least, but yeah, I have like these stacks of logs here and they're all stripped, so it kind of sells the idea this is supposed to be the stripping area. And then we also have this little workshop area with a nice little like big old table here for crafting. We have all of our logs right here that we can store. I haven't done any tree farming yet. I'm scared, but just trying to like sell that this place is pretty mechanical and like moving. I think I've did a pretty good job. I think the copper really helps. Yeah, all of our stuff, you know, our TNT falls down there and everything works the exact same. Some stuff is oxidized, and I think that blew up in a test run, so I had to replace that with some other copper. Oopsie. Oh, and then also out here, I did a lot of these wood pallets just to show that wood is being processed and being moved around. You know, we gotta sell. This is actually a lumber mill, and people are working here and stuff. So we got some stacks of logs here, some dark oak, some oak, and then we got these like kind of pallets of these slabs. I think these work pretty well as well. And just a bunch of kind of junk around the area, just filling in a lot of these details, using some of the leaf litter as well, just to sell a little bit of like scuff and some mud and just some life, breathing some life into this build. I think one of my favorite parts about the build though is the banners over here. I think the banners are so good and I can see them from pretty far away. I definitely got a mod for that or something. But the fact that you can see the lumber mill text and like the storage right over here from so far away, and also the barce ink, you know, I had to plug myself. It's just so fun. I think it's so cool. I need to get more into banners because that was a pretty fun little side quest, I guess. And right, we have this orange building over here too, which is supposed to be like a conveyor belt for logs moving out from the truck. So we have like kind of a bit of a story here. There's a bit of a linear progression of our logs. They come in on the truck, they get unloaded over here. We got a crane, which this crane is sick. I had so much fun using these what are they called? Shelves? Yeah, shelf blocks. Using those to make a really nice, like just good angles, nice slopes and everything. And then I imagine the crane swings around and puts those logs up onto the conveyor belt here. We have a bunch of varieties, you know, we gotta get them all. And they move across the conveyor belt here with our imagination, and they go into the building. I'm also really happy with this truck that I made. I kind of just whipped this thing together, had a nice reference of like a logging truck. And I think I just did really good with the scale of it, and just using more of the copper here to really convey the industrial kind of feel of this truck. And you know, you have to get the organ plates on there, and there'd be a lot of trees in Oregon as well, so it makes sense. But man, something about the vibe of this entire area too, like this forest is such an upgrade from my old forest. I don't know if you guys remember. Let's go check it out. Actually, our very first forest we worked on in this world, it's such a big change. Here it is, our first little forest we worked on in the world. It's actually, I mean, don't get me wrong, don't get it twisted. I actually really like this forest still. I think it has a lot of character. The kind of bushy, circular ball kind of leaf style is doing here, I think is pretty fun. It's a little fantasy-esque, but I don't know, I think it's cool. It has its own style, but you can definitely tell that there is a big upgrade in detail and also just tree quality. I've gotten so much better at making trees since I've worked on this forest here, but you know, it's still got its own vibe, but you can tell there's some upgrades, and I've been improving. I do gotta say though, I love how the lumber mill here just peeks through the top of the forest. It still feels very nestled in there. We got some nice layering here with this tree. Whoa, I thought I heard a creeper. What the heck? We got some nice layering with this tree right here, and then the gray tree right back there. Kind of just creating some sight lines so you can see right in. I kind of wish I moved this guy over a little bit. I might end up doing that. Although it's not very fun tearing down a tree and moving it over a few blocks just to get a better angle. Bad planning, but yeah, man. I am so happy with this. I think this forest is so immersive and so pretty, and the build itself is very detailed. I'm very proud of all of the little tech I did on this, and just how everything also connects up too. I like how I can come up here, go through these doors, go through this ladder to come up to this area up here, crouch through this door, and then I can modify the redstone if I need to. I got some redstone access here for this one lever that I have to flick every so often, and and then also come down this ladder right here, and it loops all back inside. And I don't know if I pointed out this these other small little details I added into this build, but I got this little like break area for a bunch of the lumber workers. You know, when they're all on their break, they come out over here, they shoot the stuff, they talk about whatever, talk about their shift, talk gossip, whatever, drink a few brews, maybe sodas if you want to argue their sodas. But yeah, just like hanging out in this little area, I thought this was pretty cool. Also, deep slate coal underneath the campfire, pretty fire, looks like ash. And then even out here in the forest, I included a little bit of like an abandoned shack with a few crates and stuff around here with a little table. Just like maybe someone comes out here every so often and kind of just, you know, does whatever they want with their free time. Like I think including these little details just gives a little bit more life and a bit more movement to the entire world. It makes it feel lived in. Like there's actually other people existing in this place, even though it's just me. All right, one last flyover as I do my outro. Thank you guys so much for watching. As always, I really do appreciate it. And if you're new to the channel, get subscribed. And if you want to join as a channel member, make sure to join as a member with the join button below. And of course, big shout out to all of my Barcer pluses on the left side of your screen right now. Thank you all so kindly for supporting me during these trying times. I've been doing a lot of traveling, so I've been very busy. Haven't been able to squeeze a lot of time in for videos, but now it's time to do a little bit more grinding. All right, anyways, y'all, I'll see you guys next time. Bye.